right, everyone. I am so excited to bring you another amazing interview here of a very successful carnivore. I want to introduce you guys, if you don't already know him. His name is Kipp Moore. He's from Alabama, and I've been following his journey on YouTube since the very, very beginning. And it's been awesome. It's been super encouraging. And I wanted to bring his story to you to just, again, lift up people and try to bring a different perspective on health to the world. And so, Kipp, thank you so much for being here with me this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. And I gotta say, I was super excited when I seen an email come from you because, when I first started my carnivore journey, your channel was one of the first ones that I actually started watching. And I mean, of course, there were a few others that I had seen right before yours, but then yours came up. And so I started watching your channel. So it's really cool when you're watching a channel and then that channel reaches out to you. So thank you so much. I'm glad to do this.
Oh gosh, that's so flattering. Thank you. The whole purpose of my channel is to help others. Obviously, I have a lot of avenues of content that I have on my channel, but yeah, it's all about helping people. So if anyone needs help, email me. I have people that email me, and we go back and forth. But I am just excited to talk to you and for people to get to know you and your journey, because I think a lot of people are in your situation and they just want to live better lives. So, Kipp, why don't you? We know your name. Tell us a little bit about your family and how did you hear about the carnivore diet, and why did you decide to choose it?
Well, I mean, of course, I love my family dearly, and it's a great family. But we've living in the South. We've always cooked like Southern food, and I'm really into cooking barbecue and things
Yeah.
like that. And I like a lot of Cajun dishes because we're not too far from like the New Orleans area and all that stuff. So it's kind of a lot of soul food and country food and all that stuff, and the food's wonderful down here, but it comes with a cost. And so throughout my whole life I just kept eating that same old food and gaining weight and struggling. And I've tried, like, the low calorie stuff. I haven't tried some of the crazy things like the potato only diet, or
Oh my.
people do
Bro.
different stuff where they blend up carrots and eat it, and I haven't did all that stuff. But I tried low calorie numerous times, and mainly because that's what my doctors kept telling me. And like, even when I was younger, during the summertime, I would go to this little camp, and they would they would teach us the food pyramid.
Mhm.
And they would say, you need to eat this and eat the whole grains and eat lean meats and all this other stuff. And they would even serve tofu at the place. And
Wow. That's a
so I
summer
mean,
camp.
I had been told that for years and years and years. So it got to the point where I was just sick and tired of always failing. And when I would try to eat less food and eat like a salad and some boneless, skinless chicken breast, and feel like I was starving to death. And I would always fall off that diet, basically. And so eventually I found keto, and I did keto for like a few months, and I had some success with keto. And I was like, man, I love the way this makes me feel. And then I kept falling off. And this isn't like a diss to keto or anything, but the reason I kept falling off was because I believe it was like all the different keto treats that they have at the store. And like, I kept wanting some of the different little cakes that they had, and the little keto cookies and keto
It's
ice
so
cream and
true.
all, yeah, all that stuff. And so
And
I
just
mean,
so people
I'll yo-yo. What was you
just so
saying?
people just so people know, like chocolate peanut clusters that say it's a keto thing, or you're saying the cakes, and those are processed foods. Those are not keto at all. Like true keto is whole food, like food in its whole form. So like if you want something sweet, you should be eating maybe some fruit or something, instead of, you know, the stuff we're used to as Americans. I feel like it's so hard as Americans. All we know is the aisles of the grocery store.
Hmm.
And no one really shops the perimeter of the grocery store anymore. The like 99% of their cart is the aisles, which we need to be
Yeah.
staying on our aisles. So I can see how that was making you fall off because you were eating lots of sweets, which make you crave more sweets, right?
Yeah, and like the like I would eat like Rebel ice cream and it was sitting right beside the regular ice cream in the grocery store. So I'd be picking up my Rebel and I'd be looking at the normal stuff right beside it every time. And then eventually I would just cave in and get the real stuff. And you
Mm.
know what I mean? And it was just this back and forth and I kept going back and forth with it. And that's why I tell people all the time now, like even though my channel is Carnivore Kip, like I'm not anti keto. You can do keto if that's what you want to do, and I'll support you. But if you're gonna do keto, please keep it clean. Keep like you said, keep it whole foods because that's what it was intended to be. It was intended to be like if you're gonna do keto, keep it like actually meat and like fresh vegetables and things like that, and a little bit of fruit, maybe some berries or something. But it's not supposed to be, you know, all the keto pancakes and all this other different stuff that
Mm-hmm.
people come out with. And it kind of gave keto a bad name
I'm so glad you.
because yeah, but and all those companies, the big large corporations started coming out with all that box stuff and it was making people not get the results that they wanted to get. And so a lot of people stopped believing in keto. And I know keto can work, but you need to, you know, if you're going to do it right. But when that led me to carnivore because I kept going back and forth. And
Mm-hmm.
since I kept going back and forth, I mean, of course, I had heard Dr. Berry talk about doing carnivore and giving it a try and things like that. So I had got to this point where I was right at 500 pounds. I was 486 pounds, and I decided I needed to give carnivore a try. It was kind of like throwing a Hail Mary pass
Yeah.
because it was like I need to do this, or if not, then I'm gonna have to get like a gastric surgery or something, and to lose the weight. Otherwise, I'm just gonna die. So, because I felt hopeless. And so I gave carnivore a try, and it's been incredible this year. And I'm so thankful to be on this path, and I'm just loving it.
Oh gosh, that's amazing. And just to kind of backtrack a little bit, what you were saying about like for one, my first question was how is Rebel ice cream? Because my kids see it in the store and and it's hilarious. My 10-year-old now reads labels and we talk about like it needs to have 5 ingredients or less if we're going to eat something that's like processed, and in those 5 ingredients, it can't say sugar, like as one of the ingredients and stuff. And she's been looking at that Rebel ice cream, like, Mom, it says keto. Mom, it says keto. And we haven't bought any of it, but I don't know. As an ice cream lover, like I really like ice cream. And when we go on vacation and stuff, we do eat ice cream. I'm just like afraid the texture is going to be gross and I'm going to waste like $9 on a tiny little pint of
Um,
Rebel
I
ice
think if
cream.
you haven't had sugar in a long time, I think if you tried something like Rebel ice cream, I think you would actually like it. I actually enjoyed the Rebel ice cream, but like I said, I come from a place of so much sugar addiction and so much like
Yeah.
addiction to carbs, and I have an addictive personality anyway. So like me, if I have it, like I've even noticed now, like if I have like, because I've even got to the point where I only drink plain water or plain carbonated water with no flavorings in it because
Okay.
when I have any flavorings at all, it causes me to like slip up. Like if I have flavorings for a couple of days, it makes me crave things that are sweet. And the more I crave things that are sweet, then when I'm in the grocery store, a slip up might happen. So it's better for me to just stay away from that stuff the best I can.
And you know what? That's some really great self awareness that you have. And I found with myself as well, now that we are, what are we, 13 months, right, into doing carnivore, my husband and I, you do over time learn that self awareness. Like I'm the same way. Like I'm a binge eater. Like I can't, ice cream, for example, right? It's like, I can't moderate that. It's like, you're all in. Or I'm just gonna, yeah, I'm gonna eat the whole pint in one sitting, or like throughout the day until it's gone, because I can't just, be like, oh, just a little bit here and a little bit there. It doesn't work. But when you were saying like all those keto treats, which is giving keto a really bad name. And I'm the same way as you. Like, if people don't want to be carnivore, that doesn't bother me. I'm just like, then be keto, because it's less restrictive. And we understand that carnivore is just an extreme form of a keto diet. But food companies need to make money. Food companies aren't making money on you eating apples and, some strawberries and meat and the things on the perimeter of the store. They have to come out with products to trick you into thinking, oh, keto bread. And I was like, do not buy keto bread. For one, I've been told it tastes nasty, like styrofoam. My sister-in-law bought some keto bread the other day. I'm trying to help her out like on a health journey, and she's trying intermittent fasting and things like that. And so I bought some keto bread, but it's nasty. It tastes like styrofoam and it's really gross. And I'm like, I know, because it's not keto. It's just a bunch of weird ingredients that say it has low carbs and whatever else. And the food companies don't want you to be healthy. They want you to be addicted to their products. And so, yeah, I'm really glad that you said it was making you fall off the bandwagon, like adding in these processed keto foods. So thank you for bringing that to light, because I don't think people in the beginning of a health journey, especially changing from a standard American diet over to even just a basic keto diet, I don't think maybe they would have that self-awareness right off the bat and just be like, oh, keto doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm. I think you kind of get more in tune with your body the longer you do carnivore. Like I wouldn't have realized that like a month in, I don't think, but it's like I'm more in because it's so restrictive. Like if I let any little thing in that is like a little bit off, it's like my body just knows.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I had drowned myself in that stuff for years and years and years, and it was almost like my body couldn't tell what was going on. But now, like if I have any little thing like that, it shows up big time.
Yo, I totally agree. You know what? Hold on a hot second. My kid is knocking on the door. Okay, so you're carnivore now. How many months into carnivore are you?
I just hit my eighth month mark on the second, because I started January 2nd. I went ahead and I went all out eating all kind of junk food like Christmas and all the way up to New Year's. And then like I don't know about y'all, but like I mean we have a big meal for New Year's Day. So I cook like homemade collard greens, and I put all kind of meat in it and a bunch of grease in it and all that stuff, and made it like homemade cornbread and all the southern stuff. And so I did all that on New Year's Day. And then I decided the day after New Year's Day that I was going to give it a try. And I'm glad I did, but it's been a little over 8 months.
That's amazing. How much weight have you lost in 8 months?
Um, well, I weighed yesterday and I was down 104 pounds.
Holy macaronis. Congratulations.
Thank
That.
you.
Oh
I'm
my God.
excited. And it hasn't been perfect. I don't like going into interviews and make people think that I've been perfect or anything, because I have slipped up a couple times. I've slipped up maybe 4 times throughout this whole 8 months.
That's not very
And what's
time.
crazy, you have what?
That is not very many times. I
Yeah, and
here I've slipped up way more than 8 times. Um,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
congratulations.
and so
That
I've
four
slipped
times.
up and slipped up, but I've learned that each time it's been because of something different, like because of my different addiction that I've had. Like there's so many different things that can trigger you to go eat the other foods. Like one of the times it was just peer pressure. It was somebody kept asking me and kept asking me and kept asking me. So I was like, fine, we'll go. And so we went, and then it turned into a binge for that whole weekend of just eating terrible, like sushi and all kind of stuff. And then another time it was I went from drinking the carbonated water to the carbonated waters that had the flavorings in it. And when I started doing that, I started thinking about sugar and thinking about sugar, and I ended up like walking past it, and then I just caved. And so like each time it's like I've learned something new of what can trigger me to go in that spiral effect, whether it be peer pressure or just hanging out. You can't hang out in the Krispy Kreme store for 2 hours without starting to think about eating donuts. You have to, you have
Amen.
to be aware.
Yeah, exactly. And trying your very best to surround yourself with people that are going to support you and not sabotage you. I think that's a huge one. Um, but no, I agree with that. I'm still trying to figure out. I feel that I'm okay, but I just started drinking Element electrolytes, and I love the raspberry flavor. And so I've been, I don't do it every single day because I feel that if I drink raspberry flavored electrolytes every single day in my water, it will trigger me to want to add in sweets somewhere else, because like you, I was a sugar addict. I'm still recovering from my sugar and a carb like bread. Like I still struggle going into the grocery store and walking through like the bakery section. It just like overwhelms me. I get a huge dopamine hit, and I just want to buy all that bread. I don't, but I definitely yeah. And my oldest daughter loves bread. Like I love bread, and like my grandmother loves bread. And so,
Me
uh,
too.
but when you go a really long stretch without eating that, you do kind of forget about it, I will say, until something triggers you, right? Um,
Mhm.
but okay, so you started on this carnivore journey. You started with keto, you moved into carnivore. For the person that's trying to see if they can do it, what were some of your detox symptoms? Because I had detox symptoms, my husband did, and I don't know if anyone who goes really strict carnivore doesn't have issues in the first few weeks. Do you want to share a
Yeah,
little bit of that? Like,
yeah, I don't mind
into
sharing.
anything?
I'm an open book. So I mean, for the first few days, I stayed on the toilet.
Yeah.
But then after a couple of days, that started clearing up, and then I did notice that I was having headaches a little bit, and I just kind of pushed through them. I know, and I was going to ask you, did you take electrolytes early on, or did you not take electrolytes at all? Me
My
neither.
husband watched all because he was the one, like he was the reason why our family kind of went that direction. And so he was watching all sorts of Dr. Berry videos and everything. And he did order keto chow drops, and we still use that. So I put electrolytes in my kids' water, my water, um, all the time. But it wasn't until like I want to say 2 or more weeks into us doing it, that like the electrolytes came. And I didn't even really know what electrolytes was. When someone said electrolytes to me before carnivore, I was like, Gatorade, right? That's, or Powerade. That's electrolytes. But I didn't understand that electrolytes was salt, magnesium, potassium. Like I didn't understand trace minerals. I didn't understand that. I just thought it was whatever's in Gatorade, that's electrolytes, and that's what you should drink. Um,
Which is
so,
terrible advice.
oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. I went to Sam's Club the other day, and now they have the little packets, like element of flavored electrolytes. And Eden was like, "Hey, mom, look, they have electrolytes here. We can buy some." So I pick up the box full of colored dyes, and a bunch of other ingredients that isn't just the minerals that you need. And so I was like, we're never buying this. Like, we don't do that. And so I was like, it's important to know what's in your food. But no, we did not do electrolytes. And my husband got 3 days of debilitating headaches. Like he had to go to bed. Like Advil would not like touch these migraines, I guess, that
Mhm.
he's like, he gets headaches, but not like that when he decided to detox.
Yeah, and see, I'm like you. I didn't take any electrolytes at all until 3 days ago. Like, I, yeah, like I'm dead serious. Like like when I started, I didn't take any electrolytes, and I mean, I struggled in that first week or whatever, but my body kind of transitioned. I do feel like the fact that I had done keto on and off so many times, I feel like that helped me out a little bit to deal with the symptoms and kind of just to know that like, hey, this will pass.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of hung in there with it and it got better. The only reason I'm taking them now is because I'm wanting to experiment and seeing if they even make a difference. So the jury's still out on that because it's only been 3 days. But I had mentioned it in a video about the like wanting to eventually try the electrolytes, but I'm kind of like you. I'm scared of the flavored ones personally
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I had the flavored water.
You're done. Sorry. I was like, he wouldn't stop knocking. Like, you're not allowed to knock on this door anymore. But yes, yeah, like you're afraid of the flavored ones.
Yeah, the flavored ones, they kind of scare me a little bit because I know what happened when I started drinking the flavored bubbly and this thing. Have you heard of Celsius?
Celsius? Is that
It's
a
a
type?
drink that a lot of people drink now. It's supposed to be sparkling water with caffeine in it or whatever. So I
Oh,
drank one or two of those, and it made me really crave stuff. So that's why I had mentioned using like a unflavored, and a subscriber actually sent me the element that's unflavored, and
yes.
so I'm 3 days in of taking it, and I'm excited to see if it makes a difference or not.
So I can tell you from my experience, since so I was always doing the keto chow drops, and I'll always do that for when I'm just drinking plain water, which is 99% of the time. Um, but if I do feel like I'm kind of craving sugar, which doesn't happen often, but I will say as a woman, like right before my cycle, I will sometimes crave something sweet. I'll either eat like string cheese or something like that, or like cream cheese. But the raspberry electrolytes has helped with like wanting to eat sugar, but not eating sugar, you know? But I will say, once I switched over to doing Element specifically, because as such, the the keto chow drops,
Mhm.
um, they don't have like super high amounts of, potassium and magnesium or whatever. So when you're dumping 1,000 milligrams of sodium, in a packet, and you're doing, I don't know what it is, like 80 milligrams of magnesium and whatever in one thing, because I will do the chocolate flavored in the morning sometimes, then my energy and I got tons of energy from doing carnivore. But since introducing specifically Element and their particular, I don't know, ratios of
Yeah, their
electrolytes,
blend or whatever.
yeah, my energy level has skyrocketed, and I don't need coffee at all anymore. Now I've noticed when I have the occasional cup of coffee, when I make my coffee at home, and this is only just recently, like within the last 2 weeks, that I've noticed, because I'll have coffee maybe once a week now. I make half calf. Like I'll make, like 4 cups of half calf in my big pot. And now I'm getting like jittery. And yeah, like I don't feel like I have too much energy because caffeine is affecting me way more. So I think if you're anything like me, if you're going to, Element has the unflavored, go with that if you're afraid of being triggered. Um, and that's a perfect option. But I think you're going to start experiencing even more energy now that you're, doing that.
I think that's going to be awesome. I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, but I just like to ask
No,
questions too
please. I love.
sometimes. So, do you like to split it up, or do you just take the whole packet and do it all at once? Like, do you do some later in the day, or do you do it all at once?
So I find that the Element flavors are extremely strong. And I'm sure maybe you've noticed this, that once you've eliminated sugar for a really long time, your palate reacclimates. And so when I do the raspberry or the citrus flavored Element, um, I'm like, wow, it's so sweet. Like it just tastes so sweet to me, or even the chocolate. I have to take a 40-ounce like Stanley like Yeti cup and do one packet. I can't do like a 16 or a 30-ounce and a whole packet. It's way too sweet, way too strong, and I don't like it. And the same with my kids. Like I'll take my husband's like 40 to like 43-ounce Yeti thing and just do one packet, and then split it up between like the four of us, um, like in their cups and whatever else, because I personally don't like it to be super duper strong.
Yeah. What I've been doing so far is I'll open the packet and I'll pour like half in like a normal sized bottle of water, and then in I'll do that in the morning. And then in the evening I'll pour half in another bottle of water. So I've been splitting it up morning and evening so
Perfect.
far.
I think that's great. Because that's how I started, was just pouring half of a pack into like my 16-ounce water glass. Because I couldn't handle a whole packet. It was just, it was way too much.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to drink it, I don't think, if it was the whole thing, unless it was like in a big, big glass like what you were talking about.
Exactly. And I like it to be extremely cold. If I'm going to drink the flavored electrolytes, I need it to be really, really cold. Otherwise, I don't care for it. But what about your wife? Is your wife a lot on this journey with you? Is she
No,
really supportive?
she's supportive, but she hasn't given it a try. She kind of still is hesitant and things like that. And so I try to cut her a little bit of slack, and I just try to be the example, that like, hey, I'm gonna prove to myself that this works, and then maybe it might prove to you that it works. So I'm okay being the guinea pig, because I mean I've lost 104 pounds this year, so and I went to the doctor and got my blood work, and my blood work's the best it's ever been. So,
Oh,
I
great.
mean, I'm just gonna keep doing it and being the example for you.
So you feeding your little daughter like, here, more meat.
No, well, she eats a ton of meat. I'd say, like, because I cook meat all the time. So, like, she's not carnivore. Like, I know how you do with your kids, or you were doing in one of the videos that I seen with your kids, where they were eating pretty much carnivore, or keto, or ketovore, something like that.
Yep,
They
yep.
were eating clean, and so my daughter, she does have some things that I would consider junk food, but most of what she eats is super healthy. Like, and we never give her things to drink that have sugar in it. Like, she might
Good.
have something like apple juice once a month, and if she does, it's a glass that we took the apple juice, poured 80% of it out, and put just mostly water with like a little bit of juice in it. But normally she drinks just water, or like some type of flavored water. And as far as food, she normally eats a lot of like meat with veggies and things, but sometimes she does like eat corn or potatoes, because her mama still eats that stuff. And when her mama's eating it, she's like, I want some of that too. And
Yeah.
so I mean, it's hard. In a perfect world, I would try to have her to be like at least keto or ketovore.
Mhm.
But I mean, I do have to,
It's balancing act. It's a marriage. You gotta,
yeah,
like,
there's some give and take in a marriage, and so we kind of find a medium of feeding her pretty healthy, but not. I mean, compared to the way I ate when I was a kid, she eats amazing, because I ate everything was junk food, and all the snacks and the fried chicken and all that different stuff. And the way she eats, like, we don't buy bread, really. We don't buy a lot of the stuff that's out there, but she does eat some things every now and then that she shouldn't. Like, a while back, my wife bought like a box of cereal, and I think cereal's terrible. It just turns straight to sugar, and she
yeah.
did have some of that. So I can't say she's perfect carnivore or nothing, but we're trying.
Oh gosh. I mean, there is no judgment. There is no judgment. I just, like, we never want our kids to suffer, right? We don't want to like outcast our kids. I think that's, like my husband struggled with, like, I feel guilty that I'm not letting our kids eat, I don't know, like the pizza at the birthday party or something like that. like right in the beginning. He doesn't have guilt anymore. Like he's like, I know like what's good for you, what's not, like all the things, you know. He, you know, a year later, we're over the like the guilt hump or whatever. I guess what I always encourage anyone to do is feed your kids whole foods. You know, obviously we live in a world where we're gonna end up eating processed stuff. So I'll make a confession. We were at co-op. I homeschool my kids, and so at co-op yesterday they were celebrating all of the September birthdays in the co-op. And what was brought? Delicious brownies, right? Like I haven't eaten a brownie and I couldn't tell you how long, obviously over a year. Um, and I let my kids have a brownie because, for one, they probably would have cried. And I didn't want to be that parent. And though everyone in the co op knows how we eat, but I was like, I have a child that has a September birthday, you know, like literally, like this was for them. And so I was like, pick a small brownie. That's fine. You know, we have to be flexible, right? It's like, this isn't a daily thing. On their birthdays, they can have birthday cake, you know, things like we go on vacation, we have some ice cream, but like the day to day, the regular days, we eat keto, or that my kids eat ketovore. And so, and they tell me every time they fall off plan, like the food plan, they don't feel good. They have diarrhea, they have upset stomachs, they have gas, you know, like they don't feel good. So it's
Yeah,
just a good
I didn't have cake on my birthday this year because I felt like it was still early on in my journey. But you know, since my birthday's passed, I've kind of thought about maybe next year on my birthday, I might let my hair down a little bit and have cake. And I don't think it's going to kill me if I do that.
Do you have any anxiety issues?
Oh, I haven't noticed it, any anxiety issues or anything like that. But I mean, I've used to be a little bit stressed and I feel like a little less stressed now, but I think a lot of that was just because of the how much I weighed, and I used to worry like if I was gonna, like, to be really honest with you, like, and I normally don't talk about this with people, but like I used to, like, when I was almost 500 pounds, when I would lay down in bed at night, I would think about what if I die in my sleep? You know, what if I, you know, like, because like my heart is working so hard, and like everything is working so hard to keep me alive. And so I would worry about stuff like that. There'd be a lot of nights where I would lay in bed and think about like, what if I don't wake up tomorrow? And so a lot of that is getting better, but I never took anxiety medication or anything like that. But also I never got any of that checked either.
Well, the
So
only
I
reason
mean, I really don't know.
okay, well, I can tell for myself, I don't really suffer from anxiety at all. I never have, like, I don't have like nonstop thoughts. My husband, on the other hand, has very high functioning anxiety. So like he can push through, but like he can't shut his brain off. Like he is over analyzing like every situation. You know, as a business owner, he's you know, solving problems, putting out fires all day, right? And so he'll be like, oh, I got something coming up, you know, in a week or two. And he thinks out like every single possible scenario that could happen in that given situation and problem solve that each and individual, like he can't shut his brain off. Like he's
So
just,
he's prepared.
well, so Carnivore has helped him with like when random things come up, instead of him just like freaking out and you know, getting crazy stress, like he's able to manage it. He's like, things can roll off his back a lot better. So, but the reason why I asked,
Mhm.
do you have anxiety, is because for my daughter's birthday last year, for instead of a birthday cake, she wanted a donut tower because I love donuts. I don't think I can ever, I haven't had a donut in ages, but by golly, I'm not sure if I passed a donut tower, if I wouldn't just snag one and be like, I'm eating keto for the day. Like, I don't know. I haven't been, but anyway, so we bought like 3 dozen donuts. We spiraled them up on a tray. Everyone thought it was great because I didn't have to slice cake and they picked whatever they wanted. My husband, we were what, uh, like 3 months into Carnivore at the time, and 3 or 4 months, and he got a vanilla long john. That's his favorite donut. He ate it And he had 3 days of crippling anxiety that he just
Wow.
could not get under control. We were sitting on the couch, like watching Blue Bloods or something. And he's like, Kim, I am just freaking out right now. He's like, my brain will not shut off. He's like, I can't like even zone into this show to like make the voices go away, you know? And he like couldn't sleep for 3 days. He had just horrible anxiety. So he knows that he cannot have like fried donuts or crazy sugary like ultra processed food because it just like really jacks them up. And so when you were saying you might let your hair down for your birthday, and that made me think of that. So that's why I asked. I make a keto cheesecake. The crust is technically not keto because I don't know how to make a good cheesecake crust that's not graham crackers, but I buy like organic graham crackers to make myself feel better, right? And I don't add sugar to the crust or anything. But I make a keto cheesecake that my husband and I will eat like on our wedding anniversary or for our birthdays that don't like trigger us into anything like that. So if you want that recipe, I'll email it to you unless you want to go for a whole grain cake because grain just does not work for him because it messes up his anxiety really bad.
Yeah, and see, that will give him motivation to stay strict because he not
Yes.
only needs to do it just for like, just trying to look good or something like that, because some people have different reasons, but he needs to do this out of necessity
Mm-hmm.
because like he don't want to deal with that anxiety and he don't want to deal with that feeling that he was getting, and the fact that he's getting the benefits that he's getting by doing this, I'm sure that motivates him to stay strong with it.
Absolutely. Um, how about let's see what I'm just going back to my list here. Do you have support from your extended family? Do you think your extended family supports you or thinks you're totally crazy?
Um, that even
Especially
before I
being in the
started
South and all
carnivore,
the tasty food you have in the South. And they're like, what? You're only eating the meat?
I've heard that. I've heard that multiple times. First, I'll say they thought I was crazy even before carnivore, but because I've always been just the goofy one and like to have fun and cut up and everything. But anyway, when I started, of course, they really thought I was crazy. And so they were, telling me all this different stuff. What about your blood sugar? What about, your
Your
cholesterol?
cholesterol.
What about all that different stuff? You've heard it. I know you've
Yep.
heard it. And so I heard that on and on and on and on. But then as the pounds kept dropping, they were getting excited about that, but they were still hesitant. But once I got my first blood work, then they were like, it made them just kind of sit back and think, like, wow. And so now they can't really say anything because I'm like, well, what about my blood work?
Yep.
And so now they're kind of like they've chilled out a lot, and if I go over to any of their houses, they know, hey, get me a steak, or I'll bring a steak with me to cook when I get there, or something like that. We kind of work together on it. But I noticed the extended family that I don't see all the time, they're the ones that when I go to an event, they're like, why aren't you eating this? Why aren't you eating this? We make this thing called like a blueberry surprise that everybody loves. Like the whole family loves it. And we have a big family. And like I won't eat it. And I won't eat the mac and cheese and all the different country food, the
Yep.
field corn, the all the different everything. And so they're all like, man, you ain't gonna have a little bit of that, or you ain't gonna try this. And I'm like, no. And so that kind of freaks them out. But I mean, I just have to know, regardless of what everybody thinks, like I have to do this for me. And so I have to do this because if I don't do this, I'm either going to have weight loss surgery or I'm going to die. So
Yeah.
I have got to do this, and it's been working out well.
I've known that's good. I'm so glad to know that they're on the bandwagon with you.
Hmm.
That's fabulous. I've known 2, 3 people that have gotten gastric bypass surgery or the gastric sleeve that goes over like your stomach or whatever. Um, and yeah, they dropped a lot of weight right in the beginning, but they're right back to where they started, a couple few
The
years
same
ago
with my
because
cousin. My
they never
cousin
changed
did the
their
same
eating
thing.
habits. They never ever changed their eating habits. And so, yeah, they lost the weight in the first year, maybe two, but then after that, I mean, they're right back almost where they started. If not one person, I'm thinking in particular, worse. And so, um, I think it's terrible that doctors even suggest such an extreme surgery when it's really a diet issue. But I know because you've watched all the content online, just like I've watched. Doctors are just giving such false information to people, as far as what's good for you, what's not. Science is forever changing. Like we know that, like it isn't set in stone, like things are always changing. And so, um, but if you have a doctor that's not up with the literature or even believes whatever the new studies are coming out, then like, you're not gonna they're not gonna help you with whatever your issue
Well,
is.
they're making a lot of money selling you medicine, and they're making a
Yeah.
lot of money cutting on you and doing those procedures. When you need knee replacements or when you need gastric bypass or whatever it is that you need, those doctors, hey, doctors drive nice vehicles. So they drive nicer cars than regular folk do. And
It's
and
true.
so yeah, they're making good money, and if everybody tomorrow switched to a carnivore diet,
Or
like
even keto.
or even keto, we
Yep,
would put them out of business,
we would.
and so like they would be like, I don't know what we're gonna do now because people would literally start reversing everything. Like I reversed type 2 diabetes in like 4 months,
Wow.
and yeah, like within 4 months, I went from diabetic to not. I'm not even pre-diabetic anymore. So being able to do that. I mean, if everybody that think of all the diabetic medication that's sold every day, like we spend more money on diabetes probably than anything in the
Mm.
health industry. And if everybody did this and just about nobody was diabetic anymore, that would really put a hurting on like the whole pharmaceutical industry, and there'd be a lot of doctors looking for work to do.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. I love that you said that. Um, I want to respect your time. And so I'm going to start like plowing through these questions because I love just having a conversation like this. And we could probably talk for 2 hours, but I'm going to plow through these. What have you felt has been the hardest thing about this way of eating?
The hardest thing, honestly, has just been like when the family wants to go out to eat. I'm a little bit limited on the restaurants that we can choose. Like I can't just be like, yeah, hey, I'll go with everybody to Popeye's chicken
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
because
no.
like it is gonna be really hard to try to find something to eat there. So like whereas before, so that has been like a little bit inconvenient, but I mean it's been worth it, and they've kind of learned me to. So a lot of times they'll know like if they're wanting to pick a restaurant, they're trying to think, well, we could go to like some seafood place and he could get some grilled seafood, or we could go to like a steak restaurant, or like our local Mexican restaurant, they sell like just steaks if you want a steak, or
Okay.
or something like that, or they even do grilled shrimp if you want it. Now, some like if you get grilled shrimp, it might not have the best oil,
That's
but
true.
I mean, yeah,
But
and that's the
sometimes
thing.
you're
Like, I
just
don't.
like, yeah.
What was you saying?
You're right. It might not be the best oil that is cooked in, but sometimes when you don't have control of that, you just do your very best you can while you're out.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna go out with my family once every 2 weeks to some restaurant and we all get together, I'm not gonna just flip out because it had a little bit of oil on the shrimp. I'm gonna enjoy that time with my family. And now, if I woke up the next day and I was in excruciating pain, then I would be like, "Yeah, guys, I'm not doing that again."
Mhm.
But when I've done that, it hasn't really affected me. So, I mean, I'm just going to keep doing it. And I'm not going overboard and eating the chips and the cheese dip and all that stuff at the Mexican restaurant. Now, I have actually had the cheese dip before, but I brought pork rinds with me. So
Good
I
for
brought
you.
pork rinds and I dipped the cheese dip in it. But I try not to even do the cheese dip. I try to just do the meat. And
Mhm.
that's been working out well for me.
Yeah, I will say when we go out to restaurants, like for our kids, we say you have to eat meat. And then we do let them eat like the French fries or whatever on the side,
Hmm.
or whatnot. But we say, you have to eat the burger first or whatever, not fried. Like we don't let them get chicken tenders or anything like that. Um,
Hmm.
so if there's like a steak or whatever, but like for my husband and I, what has now become annoying, just because we've been doing it for over a year now, a little bit, is when you go to a restaurant, you order a steak, because we always order steak, or I'll order salmon because I really like salmon. And we just say we don't want sides, because the sides, it's a vegetable that if there's carrots, I will eat carrots because I truly love carrots, but I'll only eat them if they're at a restaurant. I don't buy them here at home. And so, but anyway, we're not getting the mashed potatoes. We're not getting the coleslaw. We're not getting the mac and cheese, the corn, like, the things that come on the side. And we just say, just the steak, please. And the server always says, what? It's going to be the same price, right? Like you ordered a ribeye, but you don't want the sides, but we can't. I was like, we know, it's just like, we know we're still going to pay $25 for this steak, and we're not eating the sweet potato on the side or anything like that. And they're like, well, do you want it anyway? And we say no, because you're going to throw it in the trash. Because I used to be a waitress back in the day. Any food that touches the table that didn't even get touched has to go in the trash. It's just wasteful. And I'm not going to do that. And so we just say, no, thank you. Like, we're just not going to have it. We're all going to drink water. And we always do. We're all going to have water and no sides. And so part of you is like, it's so nice to be with your family, to have that convenience of not making a meal at home and all the cleanup. But then part of you, like, it's kind of ruined. It's like, I just paid a lot of money for something that I know I can make at home that probably tasted better. And, so you kind of have to pick and choose.
Well, thankfully for me, my local Mexican restaurant, because I live in a small town, so everybody knows everybody.
Okay.
So, because I just grew up in a small town, I've been here my whole life. So when I walk into the Mexican restaurant, or if I get it to go, they know it's me on the phone.
Yeah.
So, like thankfully, they actually cut the cost for me. So, like, if I get it and I
Oh,
tell them, hey, I want my ribeye with no sides, they'll take $4 off the price, and I
that's
appreciate them
small
doing that.
town generosity.
Yeah, I really appreciate them doing that. They'll just take the $4 off the price. And but yesterday I was kind of like, because I got it to go because I was in a hurry, and they took the $4 off the price. But when I opened the box to eat my ribeye, there was fries all over it, and
Uh,
so I had to pick all the fries off, which it wasn't a big deal. I just picked all the fries off, and I mean, I was thinking about them like, man, the fries look good, but
yeah. Yes.
but I picked them all off and I like put them to the side and I ate my ribeye. But I just whoever packaged it up forgot that hey, he's the guy that
Yeah.
don't eat the fries.
Feed some birds, throw them outside, let the birds eat it.
Yep.
All right. So what is your favorite recipe to make for yourself or your family? Do you have a favorite cut of meat?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I have lots of them, but if I had to boil it down to one, it would be beef dino ribs. Because you've probably seen I'm into barbecue. I cook
Yeah.
barbecue all the time. Like that's like my passion. I've got multiple smokers, and I like to do things like prime rib as well. Like I like to smoke where a lot of people do them in the oven. I smoke my prime ribs,
We
and
smoke
they are
ours
out of this world. Yeah, they're out of this world when
so
you
much
smoke them.
better. Meat on the
Yeah,
smoker is so much better. My husband loves to smoke meat. Our smoker is broken right now and we're very sad. So we bought a grill to just like for in between for our steaks or whatever. We used to just smoke our steaks too. It's
yeah.
delicious.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why I mean I like to smoke all kind of different meats and ribs and other different things. But if I had to boil it down to one, beef dino ribs.
Okay.
There's a thing called beef ribs too. It's not the same. The dino ribs are massive. They only have three bones in the whole thing, and the bones are like super long and super thick. That's why they call them dino ribs because they look like they come from a dinosaur,
That's
but
awesome.
they are incredible. Like in the barbecue world, they call it brisket on a bone. And
Okay.
that's just what they, even though it's not brisket, if you like brisket, you'll like dino ribs. They're tremendous. I love them. It's making me hungry right now.
Now, do you still sauce your barbecue and things?
I have pretty much give up all sauce. And that was a hard thing in the beginning.
It
I
was for my
forgot to mention that when
too.
you were asking about hard things, because when you're in the barbecue world, and I know a lot of barbecue YouTubers and stuff because I've been in that realm for a long time. Not, I didn't have a channel, but I was friends with a lot of those guys and I talked to them back and forth and I was friends with them on Facebook and all that stuff. So I learned a lot along through the years of different sauces and techniques and glazes like honey glazes and habanero, chipotle, all this different stuff. And it was hard to cut all that out. But after I'd done it for a little while, the thing with barbecue is like, even though a lot of your barbecue channels, they make all these different, sauces, you can make great barbecue without the sauces. And that's one of the things I try to do on my channel is that every now and then I do like a barbecue video or something, and I show people that you can make excellent food, barbecue food, without sauce because you really don't need it.
Right, because it comes out so juicy. Yeah, my
Mhm.
husband used to literally every single food was dipped in barbecue sauce. Like
Mhm.
we should have bought stock in Sweet Baby Ray's before we went carnivore. Like I used to buy
I
it
like
literally
Sweet Baby Ray's too.
by the bucket full, like a gallon at a time at Sam's Club.
Yeah.
I didn't like it as much as he did. I didn't mind it like on barbecue or whatever, but yeah, he
Good
would dip,
barbecue don't need sauce though.
and that's it. Good barbecue does not need sauce. And so he actually now he's like, I like it better without the sauce. It's so much better without it. And then of course, then you have like a million rubs, right? You have all these spices and rubs. And then when we went carnivore, he's looking at the labels, we threw them all out because the first ingredient, even though it says no sugar, the first ingredient on it was sugar. And we didn't realize that, prior to looking at labels. And so do you still use rubs on yours?
Uh, like 90% of my rubs I stopped using because I have a whole pantry that's got tons of
Yeah.
rubs. And so 90%, and I was gonna throw them away, but my wife was like, hold up, wait a minute, I'm not carnivore. So because she's gotten so used to those rubs, so she's like, you're not throwing all of them away. So I kept a bunch of them, and she still uses some different ones or whatever. But now I have like a select section in there of rubs that I think are okay for me to use. But I've started getting on the bandwagon this month of just doing the salt, and I'm liking it. But but when I go out to a restaurant, if steak has like black pepper and garlic, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I don't go out of my way to say, hey, make sure it doesn't have black pepper,
Yeah.
because I just let them cook it that way, and I'm fine with it. But but I do have a few rubs that are store-bought rubs that I use every now and then. But also I like to make my own rub. Like if you cook barbecue a lot, you can easily learn how to make your own rubs and make great food that way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, I only have 2 more minutes because I know it's like you have another call to be on. and
Well,
I
you're good for right this second. I just have to be off at 9:20.
All right. Well, we're gonna make it. So there's only 2 more questions I have written down. What's your favorite part of the carnivore lifestyle as far as like is it like the community that you've become a part of? Is it the simplicity of living this way and eating this way? Or do you think it's just overall the health and healing and just having a better quality of life?
Well, second and third would be the things that you just said.
Yeah.
All of the above of what you just said, but the main thing is being able to be more involved in my daughter's life, being able to, because I couldn't even hardly pick her up out of her crib. Like, because when you're almost 500 pounds and she was getting heavier at like 9 months old, I was struggling to pick her up. Like my back would hurt super bad. And then like we had this little, because I feel like a lot of those little lounge chairs that people put in their nurseries and they're supposed to look cute and everything, they're really low to the ground.
They are.
And so I was having a hard time getting up out of it. And then once I had her as well, that made it like almost impossible. I felt like I was going to break my kneecaps every time I got up with her. And so being able to do those things with becoming more effortless, and I still have a ways to go. I still need to lose at least another 125 or so pounds probably. And so, I mean, I'm not out of the woods yet, but just the results that I've already gotten, I can't imagine how much easier it's gonna get once I lose that next 100 pounds. So being able to be more active in her life has been the best thing because I want to be a good dad. I want to be there for. I keep telling all my subscribers that one day I want to be able to walk her down the aisle when she's about 40 years old, and and so I'm not going to be able to do that if I would have kept eating the way that I was eating because it was killing me. So that's it, being able to be there for her.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Um, all right. And then the last one is, if you could give any type of advice or encouragement to anyone struggling to stay consistent with either keto, ketovore, carnivore, or is just worried about getting started, what would you say to them?
If you're worried about getting started, just go on YouTube and watch some videos because there's other people that had those same thoughts that you did, and just ask people, look up how to start carnivore or how people started carnivore or carnivore success stories because there are tons of those success stories out there. And I mean, I'm an example of somebody I was worried about starting, but I came to it out of desperation. So I mean, it's worth giving it a try. What was your second part to that question?
Advice and encouragement to anyone struggling to stay consistent.
If they're struggling to stay consistent, like I know a lot of people mention this, but like it's true for me. For me, at least, I have to remember my why because sometimes I get to thinking like, man, like it would be good to because my favorite thing in the world is cheesecake. So I and like I love like Cheesecake Factory cheesecake and all the different cheesecakes at different places. And so, I mean, sometimes, especially like if I'm having a rough day or whatever, like, because I used to like emotionally eat, or like if I was in a stressful situation, I would want to eat certain foods. So, I'm kind of learning to, hey, don't do that, don't do that. So, but what helps me in those times is like if I'm thinking about something like that, I'll just think about remember why you're doing this because my daughter like she needs me to be around longer than just 10 or 20 years. She wants me to be around when she has kids, and whenever they have kids she would like for me to have the opportunity to be there to meet them. And if I kept going like I was going, it wouldn't happen. So I hope that if you're in a situation where you're worried about trying it, you would at least give it a try because like if you do it for 2 weeks or a month, if you do it for a month and you hate it, you don't have to keep doing it. You can do something different. So why not just give it a try? 1 month out of your life is not like the end of the world. Just give it a try and see because when I first started, I told myself and I told my wife I was going to do it for 2 weeks. I was like, I was going to do it for 2 weeks and just see what happens. And within 2 weeks' time, I was like, dude, I'm just going to keep doing this. And because I got hooked on it. And so I think if they give it a try, they'll get the results that they're looking for and they'll love it for the rest of their life.
That's perfect. I can't add to that. And I don't want to. And I don't want to. So, Kip, thank you so much for being with me this morning. I think people are going to find your story and everything that you've said so relatable. Like I love interviewing everyday people because
Absolutely.
there's more of us everyday people than celebrities that are doing like the latest fad and all the things. And so by sharing your story and your struggles, people are going to be able to relate, and in hope we're going to help them. We're going to give them success and encouragement on their healing and health journey. So thank you for being with me today. I'm going to link all of the info that you want me to in the description of the video, where people can find you, your channel, any social media you may have. And I wish you blessings and success in the future and with your family.
You as well. And thank you so much for having me on. It was an awesome time. Thank you.
You bet.